I want to learn, and there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this, that whether they are in real estate or whether they're trying to build their own thing, is right now the attention is on Reels and TikTok and providing quality content. For me, a little bit, it's just showing my personality. I like to do some funny ones, and I like to do some educational ones, and then we're throwing the podcast teasers into those as well. So I don't know if there's 3, 4, 5, a billion tips that you can kind of bring to the table that can help anybody, regardless of whether they're in fitness or not, to help grow their social media brand on these platforms and others.
That's a great question. So the first thing, starting out, right?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is Tim here with the TMA Connection. It's a local podcast that focuses on life, community, and real estate, really. And today we're stepping away from real estate because, man, I'm excited today. Excited because I got one of my, probably one of my top 5 students that I've ever had in the history of teaching, joining us in the podcast studio today to talk about 2 things: a relentless mindset and building a brand on social media. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. Josh Beeker.
Well, thank you, Tim.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on.
Ooh. Oh.
There you go. The clapping. All right. Before we get started, again, if you like what you see on these podcasts, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all those things, which helps us grow the brand and connect people in our community. So, again, Josh Beeker, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you again for having me.
Yeah, so, from the beginning of starting a podcast, you were like one of the first people that I really wanted to get in and talk about. Because, a lot of students look up to teachers, but very few students do teachers look up to. And you're one of those, brother. So thank you for coming in. Let's start a little bit for the people that don't know you. Who is Josh Beeker? Give us a little background.
So, I am a former student of Tim's. Graduated from Baylor High School in 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
Avid CrossFitter. And currently right now on social media, I am documenting my journey to get to a CrossFit semifinals. It's like the equivalent of the Olympic trials.
Okay.
Right? So it's the step before you get to the big event, which is the CrossFit Games. It's this big regional tournament where everyone competes. And right now I'm pretty close, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And so on social media for the past 4 years, but really specifically the last 2 years, I've been documenting, my workouts, my nutrition, a little bit more of my mentality now that I'm a little more comfortable sharing that. And ultimately, right now, at the age of 24, that is just the big goal, is to get to semis.
Wait a second. You're 24 years old.
Yes, sir.
That is nuts.
Well, thanks.
Time flies.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. Like, I thought about when, you were my weightlifting coach back in the day, and I was like 16, 17. I'm like, man, that was 7 years ago.
That's crazy.
And time just flies.
It does. And you talked about mentality and mindset, and, in thinking back to you as a student, plenty of high school kids, naturally, especially me when I was a kid, but a lot of kids, they kind of take the easy road. They just do enough to get by. I mean, when I grew up, if I got a C, my parents were happy because there were some times I had failed classes. I wasn't exactly the student that looked like the teacher that he actually became, right?
Yeah.
So.
How ironic is that?
But then there's this like 1%. There's these 1% of students that are always giving it everything that they got. They never take a day off. They have this relentless mindset of just getting after it. Thinking back to, I don't even know how far that goes back. Where in your life did you start to have that kind of get after it mentality?
How far do you want me to go back?
You
want to start from like the beginning and then till now?
Is there a defining moment? Did you come out of the womb and say, let's get going, baby?
I don't think there was like right from the womb. But
Okay.
here we'll go back. Man, this is gonna be a nice walk through memory lane.
There you go.
So let's go with the first time I can remember like where mentality and how work ethic was really, really important. The first time going from rec soccer to travel soccer.
Okay.
I was never the best athlete. I worked really, really hard, but at first I didn't. So the first time we tried out, my buddy, my best friend growing up, we were both trying out for the same travel team. It was the warm-up lap around the soccer field.
Sure.
I couldn't make it. Like, I was breathing heavy, and I was embarrassed. So I just dropped to the ground. I acted, like, hurt or, like, I don't know what happened. Like, I fainted or something.
Right.
And, like, my mom took me home. Super embarrassing.
The fake shoe tie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, except, like, I was, like, holding my chest. I'm like, Mom, I can't do it. We got to go home. So, like, she took me home. My friend made the team. He got all the cool gear that he was wearing around in school. Like, because he was on the travel team. And I'm like, man, I got to work a lot harder. So we found a different travel team. And eventually he did migrate over because it just was easier with, shuttling kids to and from games and practices. But on that team, I wasn't really a starter. And we had, like, progressions year to year where the coach was like, look, you need to juggle a certain number of times. You had to be comfortable using your left foot and your right foot. And so where the work ethic really started is my mom's like, look, if we're going to do this, you need to work at it. I'm like, you're right. So then I started juggling. And then literally in one season, I went from a kid who was coming off the bench, like almost a bench warmer.
Okay.
So I was getting 15, 20 minutes here and there to starter. That was at a very young age. So I'm like, okay, so this hard work thing works. And then it translated and changed. Like, my next evolution was in high school where for soccer, I made the JV squad.
Okay.
I was like, this is great. But again, same scenario. On the bench, we get about, 20, 30 minutes a game. I was like, okay, sophomore year, starter. I'm like, I like this. I like playing. I like people cheering for me and stuff, right? And the next evolution as an athlete came from that sophomore year into that junior year. So that summer is where I really started picking up weightlifting. Like, we worked together, was it sophomore or junior year?
Oof. I get them all mixed up.
I think it was my junior year.
Okay.
Because that's when I was starting. Like, you saw the first, like, true lock-in of, like, my mindset and how I wanted to attack workouts and attack days. So I think it was junior year. Yeah. Because you had me junior and senior year. I think Webb was sophomore year. Because freshman year was like Mrs. Hemis with health education and PE with Reddish, maybe?
Probably.
I think it was Reddish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think junior and senior year we worked together. But that's summer, going in from sophomore season to junior, I was working out twice a day on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, off on Thursday and Sunday, weight training Tuesdays and Saturdays. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. In the mornings, I'd either go for a run, do some type of cardio, mobility. And then in the evenings at 7, we would have conditionings for like an hour and a half with one of the McHugh brothers. Did you ever meet them?
I know of a John McHugh. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So he was the assistant coach.
Held high standards for
extremely
and
it carried over in his sons, and that kind of carried over into me. I'm like, dude, this guy has just been working all day, covered in paint or mud or whatever, helping his dad out, literally like 12-hour days, coming here and just kicking butt. So I'm like, dude, that's the guy I got to strive to be like.
Cool.
So in the evenings, right, I'd be training for 90 minutes. I'm like, I got to keep up with him. And so that summer, I got in the best shape of my life, and because I didn't want to not play on varsity. Like, I wanted to start.
Right.
And this was on a squad where potentially all 11 starters were going to be seniors.
Yeah.
And I happened to be the only non-senior starter.
Oh, wow.
So there was 10 starters that were all seniors, and I was the 11th in the back, left back, the only non-senior. Like, it was a super talented class. Like, you had, like, Logan Sikowski, you had Garrett Lorenz, you had Jason Dinsmore, J.D. Bruck, like, all the OGs. Drew, Matt Rainey.
And let's put things in perspective, too. Like, okay, it was a senior-laden team.
Yeah.
But when you're talking high school sports in Harford County, like, Bel Air soccer
We're up there.
is at the top almost every single year. I mean, I'm sure there's down years or whatever, but when you compare Bel Air, which is a big school, to some of these smaller schools in the county, there's no comparison.
Like, we go toe to toe with Seamount Wright and Falston. Like, they had great teams that year. Patterson Mill, they had great teams, but the caliber of guys that we were playing with, unfortunately, I don't think we met our potential that season. I think we got knocked out. So Seamount Wright, it was overtime. It was like I don't know if it was sectional or regional, but it was the one before you make it to the big, like, Final Four.
Gotcha. That'd be regional final.
Yeah, regional final. So that progression, sophomore to junior year, was like, it was night and day. Just that same progression from travel, soccer. Again, work was put in. I met the goal. I'm like, this is great. Where can I do this in other aspects of my life? And so that carried over in that mindset to where I am now. But looking at just that sophomore into that junior year, like 2 weeks before tryouts, and this was another mental test. So that was the first test. The real test was when I fractured my ankle. Didn't know it at the time. I thought I just sprained it really bad.
Sure.
But it was excruciating.
Oh, man.
And like, I remember watching a video. It was like Kobe Bryant talking about, he's like, the game or your goal is more important than the injury. So I'm like, oh, dude, my foot, is it going to be broken forever? Maybe.
Right.
But am I going to risk sitting out a whole season that I just worked for? Like, not a chance.
Yeah.
So I played an entire sophomore season or junior season on varsity with like a busted ankle.
Holy smokes.
So I had like Liz tape it up. I was like, my foot cannot move. Okay.
Wow.
I need you to tie it as tight as it can go without cutting off circulation. And it's my left foot. Like, I'm a left-footed player. So that was a very hard season.
Sure.
But like, mentally, I'm just like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm dedicated to help this team. They need me. I worked my butt off. We're going to find a way to figure it out. Like, I was icing every night. I was looking up like mobility stuff on YouTube, like everything.
Sure.
So that was like that part of like that next level mindset, not just the physical body of training, but that was that next, like, just like being relentless at obtaining the goal and then just being there for everyone else.
Yeah. Like,
because they had goals and they had aspirations to do really, really well that season. And I'm like, all right, team's counting on me. Got to play. I'm like, I'm willing to risk my body for this season.
Right.
So,
right.
That was cool.
Wow. That's all. Now let's break that down to like a day by day type thing. So, you know,
sure.
you're working out basically every day, sometimes twice a day. You're lifting, you're playing on the field, you're practicing. I mean, and then keeping up with your studies, which I pretty much remember you being like a straight A student,
in most stuff. It wasn't. I wasn't perfect. Like, stereotypical Asian. We were great in the math and sciences, but something in the English, it was okay. It wasn't my favorite subject.
There is a little bit of Asian here, folks. So if you want to look at the YouTube, 50%. Yes. So
from
we're not making any kind of racial injustices here. So
from the hair, they might not be able to tell. But.
Right. Rocking the mullet. But on a day-to-day basis of all this time and effort and work, and you're putting in the time, I mean, certainly you're going to get exhausted at some point.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yes, you're young and you got lots of testosterone, you're pumped, you know. Yeah. But what do you do? What do you say to yourself? How do you push yourself through those days of the mundane of like, there's certainly times when you probably said, I don't feel like going, but you did it anyway. That
was most days, honestly. I enjoy the process because I know it's hard, and the reward at the end, like everything that I've envisioned, it's not always exact, but it's pretty close. Okay. So, for example, let's talk about, a month before tryouts, right? Like, I'm leading into it. You've gone through probably 6 weeks, 7 weeks in the summer. It's hot. Yeah. I'm working outside painting, like corrals on a dumpster at McDonald's. Sweating, right? I'm just like, gosh, dude, I gotta drink water. And like my body I feel like a raisin by the time I get to the evening session. Like, your body's pretty battered. And like the mentality going into it is like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to anyways. Like, there was no option. Like, I'm here. I'm gonna drive up to the field. I'm gonna get out of my car. I'm gonna start warming up. I'm gonna drink some water. Like, but also too, what helped is I would meal prep. So I knew I had the nutrition and energy to do it. I still wasn't eating exactly what I was supposed to, per se. Like, I was still packing like cereal and. I was gonna say, how did you educate yourself with that? Was that more online? Did you have a coach? Did you have a nutritionist? Never had a coach. what was really helpful is my mom around the same time started taking nutrition more seriously.
Okay.
So in the household, like starting with the parents, it was an example to the kids. Like I would eat almost an entire box of cereal a day. But then I was like, man, all that sugar probably isn't the best. Let's try to do a little less, like cut it in half. I did half a box a day, whole milk. But then I was having like fruits and focusing on getting better sources of protein, right?
Yeah.
Like chicken, steak, fish, etc. Whatever I could fit in. And so my education was from my mom, personal just trial and error.
Sure.
Like I realized, man, too much dairy is probably not the best for me. Definitely need to pack something though light before training. Like I respond really well to quick carbs, like a banana right before training. Okay. Add some salt in my water, boom, we're golden. I've been doing that for years. I literally just made a post. It's like salt, water, handful of nuts, that's your fats and salt again, and then a little bit of fruit, whether it's an apple or banana. And that's what I eat pretty much like every day before I train. I've been doing that for like literally 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
Whenever, what was that, junior year of high school?
Right.
But like that training, again, you have to kind of like figure it out. Like before I was like, oh man, I got to eat a banana and an apple. Too much on the stomach, too hard. You can't eat like pizza or something before. But yeah, like the education part of it was just trial and error for the most part.
But being intentional about focusing on it to increase your performance and endurance and being able to get after it every day.
Oh yeah, and like a lot of people talk about like, well, are you like eating the same stuff every day? I'm like, pretty much. I'm not always eating for taste. Like I don't want my stuff to taste awful. Like super dry chicken is not fun. Yeah. But like, you know, eating an apple, probably not the most delicious thing ever. But like it's gonna give me 15 grams of carbs real quick. Sip on some water. People are like, I can't drink warm water. I'm like, I don't care if the water is cold or warm. I know that I need water in order to function and go run for 90 minutes. So I'm gonna drink this water.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing a program right now, and you probably saw it on social. With the 75 hard, which 75 hard, kind of probably in your wheelhouse or something along those lines. And I'll tell you, the biggest challenge for me is the water, the nutrition, and even like working out twice a day. But and you kind of alluded to it. It's like just thinking about what you have to do next. Yeah. Not thinking about the whole big picture. Yep. You know what's going to happen in 75 days. Yep. It's what do I have to do next, and that's all you have to worry about. Oh yeah, it's great because it gives you a lot of purpose and intention, right? Like I think the biggest thing concerning people, especially like young men and women around my age, is I feel like they're just floating through life. Like when I get DMs and messages, it is people that are lost, right? And even as an adult, you can get lost. Like you get super caught up in work and your kids, and you're just like, man, 7 years just passed. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so I think 75 hard, or just any program or regimen in general that keeps you healthy, keeps you mentally strong, is super advantageous for anybody. Sure. So I think it's super cool that it's something that you're taking on. It's probably really, really hard, as it is, 75 hard. Yeah. But the payout for doing it is going to be great. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And for me, the goal is, I could certainly lose maybe a couple pounds or whatever. I'm not the heaviest person. But it's that challenge of putting myself under some kind of mentally and physically tough routine to ultimately improve my life. And that's what I'm after. So let's go. But hey, exciting. Hey, this isn't about me. This is about you there. So this whole mentality that you do have, which is the hardest worker in the room type mentality, has certainly parallels well with your CrossFit journey that you're on. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about what has CrossFit done for you in your physical, mental, emotional growth. So CrossFit has been a vehicle that I've used to further myself physically, spiritually, and mentally. Summing that up in one sentence. And so getting into that, right, like CrossFit is a training methodology, and you have your general exerciser for just literally health, overall health and fitness, right? And then you have the other side of it, which is the sport of CrossFit.
And so for me, natural competitor. Again, not the best athlete, really, really hard worker. The CrossFit athletes, the games athletes, like the equivalent of your Olympians, extremely hard workers.
Yeah.
So the challenge and the fun part about this sport is everyone has different strengths, different weaknesses. For me, I am your cardio guy, gruntier work. Yeah. I'm not your heavy barbell specialist. Like, I'm not built like a house. Like, a football player back in the day could clean and jerk 315, no problem. Mm-hmm. Me, that is a very, very heavy lift.
Yeah.
But let's go run a mile.
Right.
So that's the beauty of it, right? And so the fun part of it is how can you fine-tune your own capabilities to be the best athlete? And so figuring out this game of like, training, recovery, and overall goals as an athlete and competitor, it's a really fun game because you're really bad at a lot of things. So that constant drive of always improving, always moving 1% further, stacking a brick here and there and there and there, and just relentlessly pursuing that is great because once CrossFit's over, I'm already planning out my next journey. Like, I've thought like 10 years from now, I'm like, oh, dude, I'm 100% doing the Lake Placid Ironman.
Okay.
Like, that's already happening. Like, I just know, I don't know the exact day or year, but in about a decade, that's what's happening. I'm going to run an ultra marathon. Don't know when, but it's probably going to coincide with that Ironman training because I will be a smaller athlete. I'll be more cardio based. And then maybe when I get a little older and I'm done cycling and riding for hours and hours, okay, let's maybe, I want to bodybuild in my 40s. Like, okay, cool. Like, those are things I've thought about. I want to do some Spartan races. They have like 3 different distances. Like, one's a shorter race, a medium, and a long race. And I want to do all 3 in a year and collect like what's known as like the trifecta. Like, that's already something I'm planning, and that'll be probably more towards the end of my CrossFit career before I go into like Ironman training. Wow. But like, that stuff that I've learned in CrossFit carries over into that aspect in sport, and then like in life in general. Like, how can I be 1% better with my wife, right? How can I be better in my job? Like, yes, you're physically excellent here, which is great, but if you're crap everywhere else, once CrossFit's over, you didn't really do what CrossFit is training you to do, which is to be better in every single aspect. Sure. Right? Like, consistently good, occasionally great is a quote that I've heard from, who was it? It's a marathon, it's a running coach. I can't remember his name. Okay. Maybe we'll put it in the link. But that quote sticks with me, and I've used that in CrossFit for like, have really, really good training days, be occasionally great. Don't be great and then drop off the face of the earth and not apply that to other aspects of your life. So CrossFit overall, big net positive. Okay.
Now, do you follow the, I don't know how you would say it, the national guidelines for CrossFit as far as you don't know the workout of the day until the day, or is it something where you're preparing so that you know what's coming tomorrow or the next day or the next week? Because I know there's an element of surprise with CrossFit, correct, right? And especially with the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, the unknown and unknowable. It's funny you say that because, so part of me, I love that aspect of it, how it's new and different every day. Mm-hmm. But at a competition or games level, I don't love it because the element of surprise, right? Like, you know, the best analogy I've heard is if you're at the Super Bowl, right, which is the equivalent of the CrossFit Games, you want the athletes to be at their best and look their best. Watching excellence, watching Michael Jordan tear people up on the basketball court, watching Tom Brady drive down the field and score the game-winning touchdown, that is exciting. That's what people want to see. Right. But in the CrossFit Games, sometimes when they do that unknown and unknowable, right, your elite athletes look silly. Okay. So that part of it I do not like. But the randomized training that tests you as an athlete and where you have to adapt, that I'm cool with. Right. But when you're on a national level and you're trying to see people do things really, really well and they're struggling, they look like idiots. Right. So again, there's aspects of CrossFit that I love, and there's other aspects from a performance and competitive and to grow the sport because I care about it. There's some issues that I have there. But overall, I do enjoy pretty much everything about CrossFit.
That's awesome.
In that respect.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And what I've seen, too, is that a lot of times people just think CrossFit is like, they think of CrossFit as the CrossFit Games. Mm-hmm, exactly. That's that competitor, but really it's that general health for the public. There's the general health for the public. There's the flexibility and the adaptability of Someone like myself,
Mm-hmm.
who's not gonna perform at that CrossFit Games level.
Yeah.
But there are levels to this program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, if you and I were to work out, Tim, like, I would take you through what I'm doing, but it would be at your level to where we are obtaining, like, out of an intensity of 10, we're both going to hit an 8 out of 10 on the day. That's the goal. I don't want you on the floor puking and dying.
Right.
I want you to have a great workout, just as I would have a great workout on the same level, right? Like, if it's your first time, clearly you might be a little more sore, but I'm not having you, again, dying for the full 60 or 70 minutes we're training together, right? You're going to do back squatting at a percentage that you can handle for a 5x5.
Yeah.
The conditioning piece, okay, you're going to have a longer rest period because you just happen to need it. That's what your body is. Like, that to me, I don't think it's communicated well enough in the community.
Yeah.
They highlight just the star athletes who are doing all this craziness.
Right.
And they don't explain, like, no, this is for the general public too.
Now you've mentioned Spartan races and ultra marathons and everything. Do you have any aspirations to open up your own gym or do your own kind of business through CrossFit or any other kind of fitness brand?
When the timing is right, absolutely. Like right now, working 40, 45, sometimes 50 hours a week in construction, 3 hour, I'm about to burp. Excuse me. Dude, that's going to sound real nice on the mic.
We're not editing it. We're not
keep it in
editing
there.
That.
Keep it in there. Dude, that should be one of the sounds you play. Just
burp.
Exactly. But yeah, 3 hour, sometimes 4. Today was a 5 hour training session in the gym. It takes a toll, and I don't know if there's enough time. And content creation, a little bit there. I don't know if the cards are in it right now. Okay. Maybe once the competitive aspect goes down a little bit. And also, too, I want to have as much knowledge to give everybody. So right now, I just want to take as much.
Keep learning, right?
Right. Take a lot of withdrawals so then I can deposit that back out to everybody else with things that I've learned.
Just one word of warning. You're never going to know it all.
Correct.
So don't let the lack of knowledge hold you back from doing something great.
I won't let that paralyze me, but
right.
I don't want to sell out, right? Like I'm like, buy this product. It's I want to be able to build the base, and then when people see it, they're like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. This is legit.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy into this.
Well, let's start talking about building that base.
All right.
What a great transition, man. So
I read my questions a little bit. Trying to loop it all in there.
A little bit in there, yeah, right. All right. So you are growing a brand on social media, specifically Instagram, but even more on TikTok. And from what I looked at, 98.1 thousand followers on TikTok. Only 12.7 on Instagram, 12.7 thousand. What's wrong with you? No, just kidding. How did this all start? And how have you? I really want to, outside of fitness. This is selfish right now.
No, you're okay. It's okay to be selfish sometimes. Being selfish sometimes is a good thing.
Sometimes. But I want to learn, and there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this that whether they are in real estate or whether they're trying to build their own thing, is right now the attention is on Reels and TikTok and providing quality content. For me, a little bit, it's just showing my personality. I like to do some funny ones, and I like to do some educational ones, and then we're throwing the podcast teasers into those as well. So I don't know if there's 3, 4, 5, a billion tips that you can kind of bring to the table that can help anybody, regardless of whether they're in fitness or not, to help grow their social media brand on these platforms and others.
That's a great question. So the first thing, starting out, right? Like if anybody out there has a product or a service, or you believe that what you know can help other people, you need to share it. It's an obligation, it's a duty. I think it's I think it's your responsibility to help other people, because you might think, oh, this is the dumbest thing ever if I talk on this camera. I'm like, no. There are people that literally have talked to me. It's like, dude, thank you for saying this. Right. It only has like 200 views, right? A video that only had 200 views, dude reaches out. It's like, dude, I needed to hear this.
Wow.
Thank you. I'm like, cool. All right. I want to keep doing this stuff. I don't care how quote unquote cringe it feels. Like, it kind of does look dumb when I'm looking at my camera and I'm talking to it. It's a piece of plastic with glass, like, right? Like, it looks absurd.
Right.
But the fact that we have platforms, even if you have like 10 followers, 15, or what is it, 98,000, like,
yeah,
there's people that are going to listen. There's people that are going to watch. You just need to make content. Gary Vee says it best. Content is your oxygen. How are you going to consistently reach people? You got to keep producing.
Right.
And the big thing that I find a problem with my own self is I've been so focused on training that I have not been able to produce as much as I want. So what I've seen is my numbers have gone down because I don't produce as much content as I used to.
So they start unfollowing you?
Not unfollowing, just the growth and reach,
Gotcha.
right? Less comments, less traffic. The followers stay about the same. Like, it'll fluctuate, and I've actually lost a little bit on TikTok because it was like a lot of spam accounts at first. I was finding, like, I was going through, I was like, what's happening? Why am I dropping? It's a bunch of spam. It's okay. Don't really care about the followers. Like, I care about the people, but not the number itself, like the quantity, right? Like, I want people who are reaching out and building that community. And once you really start it, you got to keep stoking the fire.
Okay. So
right?
consistency.
Like, once you start picking up a little traction, yeah, you got to be consistent. You got to post, maybe not every day, but almost every day.
Okay.
If not, if you can do every day, that's great. And I think a lot of people too, once they start getting traction, they either get comfortable or they think they're hot stuff and they don't want to take care of their community. I think that's how you get to the next step. So like when TikTok was starting to blow up and I was at like 30, 40,000, I would answer DMs, comments, questions, making content specific to what your followers are trying to want. So kind of cultivating the community in that sense, that helped grow it some more. Sometimes it hit and it did really, really well. Other times it didn't. You can't really get caught up in the numbers. You just got to produce, and just keep going with it, right? Like staying on top of trends is good, but you also have to be about as authentic as you can be.
Right.
Like if it's not your thing to talk on camera, all right, maybe you do like where you're like a video of yourself and there's like words that come up, or maybe it's print. But you got to be authentic to yourself. And it's a skill, right? Like the first time I ever talked on TikTok in front of my phone, I remember it was like a Sunday after church. And I was just like telling people like, yo, have a great day. That was it. And it took like 15 tries because I was like, oh, shoot. I was like looking at myself, I'm like, you are so dumb. I'm like, and then eventually I just made the video and people were like, you have a great day too. And like, I don't know if like they're being funny about it or real, but like, there's a connection there. Just make it, do it, post it. It's going to be weird at first. And now when I talk on, a podcast or on my phone or make a story, it's like second nature. It just happens.
Right. It's all about documenting that process.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I've noticed recently because we've taken off a little bit with TikTok and with Reels and here's a good question for you. If you put a video on TikTok, do you take that same video and put it on Facebook and Instagram, or are you doing a video on Facebook, a different video on Instagram, and a different video? Because I know you have to kind of gear it towards the platform itself, but a lot of the audience is kind of the same, in a way.
So that depends, right? Like, depending on, I think it's better to create organic content per platform because then people would draw to seeing you on different ones, right? Sometimes I will post, but to me, it's more just to keep, like, again, stoking the fire with content creation, but I don't feel good about it because it's like just recycling the same thing. Okay. But if you can make organic, unique content for each platform, I think net positive would be better. Yes.
Gotcha. Because as of right now, it's whatever, TikTok will save it to the phone and then it goes on to Facebook.
And you can put it everywhere else. Yeah.
Everywhere else.
I don't think it's the worst thing.
Okay.
But I do think, more is always better in content creation.
Interesting. And then it's weird because it, one that you think would really take off doesn't. And then the one that kind of like, why would anybody like this?
Yeah, I shouldn't even post this video.
I shouldn't even post it.
Oh, wow, that exploded.
And then it blows up. Like, I don't, like, are there I know, again, I don't want to focus on the amount of views. I want to focus on
it's a metric you have to look at.
A metric of
Yeah.
effectiveness, the analytics of it. But to get caught up in how many followers I have or how many likes I have, that's not what I'm all about. But are there things that I can do in my posts, or maybe the time of day that I post, or filters, or is there anything that has a better opportunity of increasing the amount of views and reach that you can get in a post?
I think the biggest thing that I've noticed trend-wise right now is the quality of the content, as in, not that you have to like make a masterpiece each time, right? But it has to be something that connects with the audience, or it has to be entertaining, or something that just is very interesting or intriguing. I guess that's part of the connection. Like, if people are not in the market to buy a house, they're probably just going to like skip through it. But if there's something that you have that is very entertaining to look at, whether it is like a beautiful house, right? Like you're showcasing it and stuff, people might look like, because my wife, I always watch her, she's like looking at videos of the interiors of houses, just looking at them and like imagining. Like, to me, that's a connection, right? Versus you're like, hey, I'm selling this house. People are like, next. But if you just literally have like a video of like a drone shot and then like a walk through the interior, people are gonna be like, wow, that looks really cool. Like something that's like crisp to look at.
Yeah.
Music that's popular, trending for the day or the week or month or what have you.
Okay.
Like for my videos, I'll just literally go through audios that are popular right now. And I'll be like, okay, that's a good one. Okay. I'm gonna pick that audio because there's 300,000 reels on it, or it's one that's on TikTok and there's 1 million people that have made this video and the audio's only been out for like 2 days. Using that. Okay. So that helps drive a little traffic there because other people are looking through that stuff.
And is this more of a trial and error thing too, or do you have any sources that you're looking at?
It's always changing.
Yeah.
Like you just have to, again, that's part of too, where when you create more content, you can kind of catch some of those trends a little bit better. You know what works, what doesn't work. Like people love watching me lift heavy. They don't really care about the cardio that I do. Not as excited. It's kind of boring. When you're droning on a bike for 45 minutes, or like you're going between different cardio machines, not as exciting and sexy as a 1RM back squat, clean and jerk, snatch.
Yeah.
And with the bumper plates too, it makes it look heavier, which is not my intention to like, it's for the gram. But that's all we have to use. Like we don't have the actual like skinny plates that are metal and hard. We only have like the ones where for Olympic lifting. Right. So
ones that bounce when you drop them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Not the metal clang.
Yeah.
Like those are fun too. Like when you go to like a bare bones steel, like gritty gym, those are awesome.
That's awesome. Let's one more, and then we'll wrap up with some follow-up questions.
Yeah.
And this one I really didn't prepare you for, but we did start talking about it was YouTube.
Yeah.
So we're trying to grow our YouTube channel. For the longest time, it just kind of deadened out at 80, and YouTube Shorts, which is a form of Reels and TikTok, had all of a sudden our growth has. I mean, I'm not talking about exponentially, but from an 86 subscribers for the longest time to jump to 110 in just a few days.
That's big, dude.
That's weird.
Those will wins.
But again, I think it's all about bringing value. Like you can't fake this stuff. You got to bring true value, like we're trying to do today. It's
exactly.
Like, so. What's your experience with YouTube? What are you finding that's working really well? What are things that you could be doing better to grow your YouTube channel?
So starting out with YouTube, I kind of wanted like a podcast-y kind of format, but I realized there was a lot more to make the quality of content that I wanted. It just wasn't the payout. Like I was like, man, this is not good. Not good. So then for a long time, I didn't even post. Like I had an account, but I wouldn't post. So then I'm like, you just got to record it and you're going to post it, right? Like very fine, like very like bare bones. Okay. Then I started having like transitions and stuff, but mainly I was just kind of like, just again, talking about like the mentality. Like I think one time I talked about like 75 hard. One time it was like nutrition. And then there's a trade-off between other content that I was creating on TikTok, Instagram, like that whole like just system of, because YouTube, I'm finding it was taking so much longer and I could just make a couple pieces here on TikTok and Instagram. So that kind of died off. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to record my workouts and post those. People like that. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep recording my workouts and posting those. And so numbers were shooting up. And then when I do these international competitions, whether it's online Well, it is online because I haven't qualified for the in person yet. But the ones that are online but in the US, people are watching them. People are commenting. It's like, yo, you're a beast. I'm like, thanks. I know anybody would watch this. And it's like, 700 views. I'm like, that's cool. Couple subscribers. People are like, well, what else are you going to post? And I'm like, what do you want to see? And then people are like, stuff on nutrition. So, I think YouTube Shorts, similar to TikTok and Reels on Instagram, is probably the way to go right now for me personally, because I just don't feel like I'm producing the quality of long form content.
Okay.
It's just a time thing. Like, I got to sleep 7 hours.
There is a lot of time. And that's why we got Jay.
Yeah, that's why you have Jay helping you out, man. I need a Jay.
You need a Jay.
I need a Jay.
Gary's got D-Rock, and I got Jay-Z.
Yeah, dude. D-Rock, beast. Absolute beast. But no, I think that long-term wise, I would love to have somebody to work with. Is there anybody out there? Please reach out to me.
Hey,
we'll talk about it. But yeah, somebody like even like once a month, just like record a handful of my work. Not even a handful. There's like one full day of training, and we make like a super sweet vlog. I just would love to show people and showcase that.
Yeah. Because
like, when you have a tripod and a camera set up on your phone, it's only so much you can do.
Right.
And like I'll try like live stream, but then like it gets copyrighted for music. So I'm like working out in silence. I'm like, this sucks. And this is such bad content. Nobody wants to watch me die on a bike.
Right.
So,
okay. All right.
Yeah, that's the plan moving forward.
Hey,
short form.
I like it. All right. Well, let's start wrapping this up with a few closing out questions here for you.
Let's go.
All right.
Rapid fire.
There you go. Rapid fire. Yeah. All right. Your favorite CrossFit workout?
Murph. So for those who don't know, Murph is a Memorial Day hero WOD from Michael Murphy.
What's WOD? Just for the people that don't know.
WOD, right. Workout of the day.
Okay.
The workout itself is a 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, and another mile run with a 20-pound for the guys, 14-pound vest on for the ladies. This is done on Memorial Day because Michael Murphy, he was a soldier that passed away in Afghanistan, and that was like his like on-base workout that he would do.
Wow.
So we do it in support of soldiers who served, and it means a lot because my grandfather, he served in the Army. He didn't die in Vietnam, but he served.
Okay.
And he always talked about like how those guys are really the true heroes. Like we talk about like athletes, but like that to me means a lot. Like people who laid down their lives for the country. Some great, brave men and women.
Yeah.
So that workout to me is my favorite. It means a lot. I just suffer the whole time. So like, in CrossFit, you can do pull-ups, like the kipping ones that they do look absurd. So when I do it, I don't break it up. I do 100 straight strict pull-ups with a vest on. Now I do have grips on my hands because like one year it just rips, but like it's just, you just suffer through that the entire time. And then 200 straight push-ups, 300 straight air squats into the run. So that's how I take it on.
Wow.
I think that's the true way to do it. You can't kip, Murph. Like, bro, who cares what your time is? I'm just doing it to do it.
What's your kryptonite in CrossFit?
Strength.
Yeah?
I'm just not strong enough. Like, look, I was a soccer player. So, like, my upper body, not very strong. Bench press is not impressive.
Yeah.
Like, we're well under 300-pound bench. But, like, my squat is over 4. My deadlift is close to 5. Like, again, that's not great. It's not bad.
Beeker, that's all perspective, brother.
It is perspective, but I'm talking about in a competitive sense. That's my kryptonite, man.
That's true.
Like, I'm trying to be better. I'm like, dude, these guys, I try not to compare myself. I've gotten so much stronger the past 2 years, but man, some strength events just kill me.
Yeah.
Kill me, man, because I'm just not strong. It's like they're just moving it like it's like there's no weight on the bar. I'm like, bro, please, just give me some of that. I'll give you some of my running ability. Just help me out.
Oh my gosh. So your wife Brianna, I got to meet her a few weeks back
at Sprouts.
Yeah, man.
Grocery shopping, getting the gains
in the healthy section. Right?
Oh yeah.
So you're going to be going out on a date night. Where in Hartford County? Let's keep it to Hartford County.
Hartford County, the Harco area.
The Harco area. Where's your go-to place to eat? Because we're going to tag them in this.
Well, we're actually going to go there tonight.
Ooh.
Basta Pasta.
Basta Pasta.
Falston
out there
area.
in Falston.
Yep,
okay.
That's where we're going tonight. We're celebrating my stepfather's birthday.
Okay. So what's the go-to dish to eat at Pasta?
So it's an Italian restaurant. Yeah, pasta, Italian.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends, right? Like they got a good chicken Caesar salad. That's classic. If you want to stay a little bit more on the healthier side, light dressing. But when like I eat out with the fam, dude, you gotta go with like the chicken parm. It's so good. Their salmon's good too. It's got like that like honey glaze on it with like mashed potatoes. I don't know what I'm gonna get tonight. It's kind of like what I'm feeling.
Okay.
Like we had a long training day, and like thinking about it right now, I'm getting hungry, man. Like I'm gonna have to eat some before we go.
Maybe 2 or 3 entrees. No, that's a little too much.
It's a little overkill.
I know.
A little overkill.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, Pasta. That's a great place to go. And then another place, just to throw it out there, it's called Citron. It's not in Harco. It's more in the Baltimore area.
Okay.
Or Citron. It's on, I don't know exactly where it is, but I know Quarry Lake is what it like wraps around, and it's beautiful. It's got like 4 different areas in the restaurant itself that make you feel like you're experiencing 4 different venues.
Interesting.
Outside dock, there's an interior like bar lounge area. Then there's like your more like bougier setup.
Okay.
Like there's nicer couches, fireplace, and then there's like your like more classic like home style-y kind of feel to it. Like it's really cool, really cool restaurant.
Interesting.
Great food.
I haven't heard it.
Great
so,
food. Citron, Citron.
Sounds good.
It's great.
All right. Hey, going into that heavy lift and you got to put a pump up song in your ears. What are you gonna put in?
So all time, Enter Sandman.
Metallica.
Yeah. But right now, the one I'm vibing with is Narco. It's an EDM song by Timmy Trumpet. It's like a 2017, 2018 song.
Okay. I'll have to check that one out.
Mm-hmm. It's the one that the Mets like closer opens out to. It's like the one that was like popping off.
I do know. Yep. I saw that. In fact, at the gym, I think I saw that on Sports Center.
Dude, it's such a cool opening. Like Timmy Trumpet was literally playing it on the field. I'm like, oh, dude, that's a great song. So then I'm like playing. I'm just like thinking. I'm like walking up to the barbell like a pitcher walking out in the field. I'm like, let's hit this.
All right, let's go, Wild Thing.
Exactly.
Book recommendation. I'm an avid reader. A lot of people, hopefully, that are watching this are readers.
So that part of 75 hard for you is probably really easy.
Oh, piece of cake.
10 pages like
10
that.
pages, nothing.
Oh, you're like, I could do twice as much. I'm like, but this water I'm drinking over here.
I know. I'm going through 7.5 gallons of water, or not gallons, ounces or whatever. What's a good book recommendation that's really kind of, I don't know, just made a difference in your life? Something good.
I read a handful this year. I think the best one right now is Tim Kennedy's newest book. So his book literally describes his whole life, where it is like 3 or 4 lifetimes of experiences smashed into one book. Like he's one of the most interesting human beings, and I had no idea.
Tim Kennedy, huh?
Yeah.
Do you know the title? We can look it up if not.
Scars and Stripes.
Ooh.
So good. So just real quick, Green Beret, fought in the UFC, almost died like 900 times. Dude, it was crazy. All of his experience, he should be dead, but he's not. He's a monster of a human. He's awesome.
Wow.
Like, watching him, I'm like, dude, I don't do anything. I'm so lazy. I feel so terrible. But like, he's a super, let's like, homegrown American dude. Really jacked up his life in the beginning, figured it out, and then now he's doing good. Like, he's a good dad, from what I can see. Also, I don't know him personally, but like from what I'm seeing, he doesn't, maybe, I don't know if he's corrected like all the wrongdoings, like, but he's doing a better job.
Okay.
And the book details like everything from literally growing up to where he is now. Like, he sent over himself and a couple of his buddies when we had the Afghanistan disaster last year in August. He went over there and he rescued tens of thousands of people, risking his own life, almost dying. Like, the dude is an American hero.
Wow.
Dude's awesome.
I've got to check that one out.
Yep, Scars and Stripes. Tim Kennedy.
There it is. Podcast recommendation other than this one.
So ones that I'm heavy on right now is Andy Frisella's Real AF. He is the CEO, First Form Supplements.
There you go.
And then another one is Inky Johnson's and Serendipity.
Is that the Serendipity is the name of Inky Johnson's podcast?
Yep.
Awesome. What about that podcast is worth mentioning?
So Inky Johnson is a motivational speaker, played football at the University of Tennessee, suffered an injury in the middle of a game that debilitated his left arm and completely paralyzed it. And his perspective on life really like it puts me in a really good spot when I listen to his stuff.
Yeah.
So like taking everything day by day, very faith-based. And I think he has a really good hold on what like life value you should have and what he explains and talks about and the people he brings onto his podcast. I think it's really, really powerful stuff.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. I know who he is. I got to check out more of his stuff.
So he's related to Eric Thomas, E.T., the hip-hop rapper.
Is he family related?
Hip-hop preacher.
Or is that a friendship or is that
I think it's a friendship.
Okay.
I don't think... Yeah. I think Inky Johnson was on the come-up when E.T. was exploding.
Yeah.
And he's not the hip-hop rapper. He's the hip-hop preacher. My bad. Yeah. I don't want to misrepresent him.
If Eric is watching, this podcast.
Dude, he did post me one time
Really?
in my garage, clean and jerking really heavy weight, and I was on like the front of one of his reels, like when he first started making reels, and I was like, dudes, this is crazy.
That is wild.
So I'm in one of his pieces of content.
Wow. Well, at the end of every podcast, we'd like to give the guests an opportunity to kind of pay tribute to somebody in their life who has just made a really significant difference and to publicly acknowledge them for their role in your life. And that's a deep one because I know you got a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you can't chicken out and say me, okay? I understand. But
hey, we could probably do a whole episode on the impact you've made in my life for sure.
Stop it. But who would you like to pay tribute to today?
Dude, I think honestly the most important one, dude, it's gotta be my mom. She'll listen to this, so this will be good. This will be a nice little...
it'll be good to have at least one view on this. So
yeah,
yes.
No, my mom will be one for sure.
Yeah.
So part of my mentality, not part of it, probably majority of it, derives from her. So just give you the summarized version with a little bit of extra detail. Growing up, did not have my father in my life. So mom had to take the reins of raising two boys by herself, and she did one heck of a job.
She sure did.
So watching her work tirelessly, relentlessly, at no means did she give up on her duties as a parent, being everything for us financially, and supportive. Like, she always found a way to provide. And I didn't know it at the time, but looking back, realizing how much we didn't have, but how much she still provided was awesome. So watching her work and do everything that she did, I don't know how she did it, but I'm very thankful that she did. And I know she sacrificed a large part of her life to make that happen. So I feel as in my duty and obligation, and part of my mentality is to be the best version of myself, to say thank you to her. So whether I do or don't make CrossFit semifinals or even the games, I got to make semis first before the games. But her support getting me to that point means everything. And saying thank you and just being, again, the best son to her means a lot. And so one thing as a parent, me eventually, like, I want to be just like my mom, do everything I possibly can for my kids while raising kids to the best of my ability. So,
wow.
Mom, thank you. And I hope to keep making you proud.
Mrs. Beeker, you have a very special son.
She's probably crying right now.
She's got two special sons, two amazing gentlemen, and you've done an amazing job. Josh, this has been awesome.
Dude, this is great.
I
good trip down memory lane.
I literally just had chills going up and down my arm.
So for the people that are watching, I couldn't look at Tim because I was going to start crying, and I could see him watering and like moving and fidgeting. I'm like, don't look up, just keep talking.
Yes.
So I just looked down.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, I can't look at him. I'm like, do I look at Jay? Like, what do we do?
Oh my gosh. Well, I would like to acknowledge you. You know, meeting you as a student and being your teacher and having the opportunity to teach you made me a better teacher. It made me a better man. And there's very, very few kids that I can honestly say that. And that's not to diss any other kids. I mean, by large part, I had I was at an amazing school with amazing kids. But like I said, there's that 1%. And maybe in the top 1% of the 1% is where I really thought of you. And, to everything that you have done, to everything that you've accomplished, and to a lot of things that we didn't even talk about today that we could even put it on another podcast that I
might have to come back.
Yeah, I would love that.
Let's go.
You certainly are an exceptional human being. You're just truly genuine. You're truly authentic, and you have a heart of gold. And I value our friendship, and I think that you just there's so much for you coming, and
thank you.
You are a person that is making this world a better place, and to that I thank you, man.
Well, thank you, Tim. Appreciate that.
Awesome. Before we kick it off, where can people connect with you? And we've talked about a lot of platforms today. So whether it's fitness related, mindset related, where can people find you?
So yeah, on all platforms, it is Joshua Beeker. That's Beeker. Whether it's an underscore or like a little dash, it's all the same throughout. Like before, it used to be like Boshua Fit, but now it's just Joshua Beeker with either like a little like or a little underscore on there. Yeah, okay. I don't know what it's called, a little dash.
Dash hyphen.
Yeah, but yeah, it's all Joshua Beeker. Yeah, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I don't really do Snapchat. I don't know if I should, but dude, again, I was consuming more than I was producing, so I got off that. But I
think you've done very well on those platforms,
yes.
And you certainly brought a lot of value with that today. That's going to help me. It's going to help a lot of other people.
Let's go.
Look, folks, this one was a good one. You need to share this one out.
Please
Make a comment, connect with Josh, connect with us. We are on Facebook and Instagram at the Markland Advantage.
Oh, yeah.
And we are on TikTok and Twitter at TMA Real Estate. We're on Snapchat too.
Oh yeah.
And you can connect with us there. Thank you so much,
Tim. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, live your life to the fullest, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Peace out.